right, everybody, we're back with another episode of the Outranked Podcast. I'm your host, Rafael. I'm joined with Steve. Steve, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Doing good. I know it's a quick turnaround for our recordings, but, we're making it happen.
Oh, yeah.
And,
we always, stay flexible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How's your week been so far? You been good?
So far, not too bad. It's hump day.
Yes, it is. Oh, man, I remember that commercial, too. That hump day.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that one? You remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we used to say that, like, in one of the commercials and on our training for deployment, too?
I don't know.
Be shouting it. I thought we would be shouting it when we were kind of driving back. I think you were you were the one that was shouting it.
I think I've heard it at every base I've ever been to.
Well, I'll tell you right now, when Rod and I deployed, when we were going into Afghanistan, we had gone through training in El Paso, and whenever we get on the bus, it was a miserable ride out into the training area, and it'd be like, "Oh, what day is it?" And then somebody in the back would yell, "It was hump day." So I thought it was you. I thought I remember.
Nah, I think a lot of my memory with that stuff. You're probably right, but it ain't written down, so I don't remember it.
If you ain't got it on video, it don't count.
Hey, that's what they say now, right?
Yeah.
Well,
that's
for everybody
says all the time.
For everybody who's watching and who's listening, you hear the third voice with us today. We are joined by Roderick Simms, former security forces in the Air Force, trained and worked with me. Never really met Steve, I don't think, until today.
No, I don't think so.
So, Roderick, welcome to the show. Welcome to the
Appreciate
podcast.
It.
I'm happy to have you here.
Good to be here. I appreciate it.
And
blessings.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, you served how long? 12, 13 years?
14 medically retired. Yes,
14
sir.
14 medically retired. Thank you for your service, and we'll get into the whole show right now, starting with, where'd you grow up, man?
Well, I grew up in Connecticut, where a lot of listeners and everybody else that I come across probably has never been. way up there in that little corner of the East Coast. Yep, I grew up in Hartford, Connecticut, New Britain, Connecticut. Kind of urban environment for the most part. I mean, New England is green and beautiful and a lot of history there. So I miss it, but I don't miss it because the taxes and gun laws and everything else, especially the gun laws since Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if people do know about it, it's probably because of something like that, Sandy Hook or something or another.
I mean, a lot of people also know it because it's ESPN's home over in Bristol.
Yep, that's true.
So Bristol, Connecticut is Bristol more booming than it is in Hartford?
No, it's more rural. It's more on the outskirts. I actually have some folks that I know that work for ESPN, and they've received their Emmys and stuff for the show and stuff like that. So ESPN is they picked a bunch of land that nobody wanted before anybody wanted it, and they just have a big old area out there.
That's awesome. Do you go home and visit?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, when you look at more satellites than the government, when you go out there by them, I mean, they got satellites galore. It looks like NASA.
So, do you go home often because you're not in Connecticut now, right? You didn't
No, I'm in Texas.
There?
Good old San Antonio. Yes, sir. No, I don't go home as much as I should probably. I think the last time I was there was during COVID or right before COVID. So I'm due. I've been looking and thinking about a trip, but haven't finalized.
Miss home? Do you miss home?
Like I said, I miss the beauty of it, the access of it, because I mean, you live there an hour and a half in any direction, and you're somewhere completely different. Whereas, me being stuck here in San Antonio an hour and a half in any direction, I may still be in San Antonio,
still in traffic,
right? So I miss the access. I miss the beauty of it and stuff like that. Obviously, family is always going to be, but I don't miss all my family at the same time either.
Yeah, I can understand that. I could definitely relate. Like Connecticut is just it's not far from me because I'm in Maryland and Steve's in Virginia, where it's not far from us, but it's still like far from us.
Yep. Maryland's probably, what's that, 5 hours maybe?
Maybe
4 hours,
5, 6 hours.
5 hours, 6 hours to Virginia. Yep.
Yep.
So
It's not too bad. And I wanted to take the wife a little further up north so she could see like how beautiful actually the countryside and all that stuff is.
no, yeah, it's wonderful. A lot of
Yeah.
history there. Mark Twain, all that stuff. I grew up right on the street where the Mark Twain house is on Forest Street in Hartford.
Oh, really?
Nice.
That's cool.
I
Did
mean,
you
you
grow
would
up?
think that it was like some big, like proper and prim area, which it wasn't. It was, we were slumming it a little bit, but it's all good.
Hey, you grew up to be a fantastic gentleman. That's all that matters.
Hey, I'm just trying to do God's work. That's
Yes,
it.
sir.
Trying to follow my calling.
Steve, what you got, man? You got a question?
So, did you spend your entire childhood there in Connecticut and join the military
I,
from there?
I actually did. Yes, I
Okay.
was an athlete and kind of social butterfly, I guess you would call it these days. So I did spend my entire childhood there. I have 3 brothers, so we were all pretty much just all over doing whatever. I was the bike kid and the basketball and tackle football in the street kid. We were, especially when there was snow on the ground, we were like, oh yeah, we're about to play tackle in the street.
It ain't
So,
like
but
that no more.
I did get to spend some summers down south because my father and grandmother and everybody is originally from North Carolina. So I did spend some summers there and family vacations here and there. But I mean, for the most part, that's where we were planted. I was planted there.
You know,
What?
kids don't.
So you said basketball and football.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the sports you played growing up, right?
Yes, sir. I
Nice.
played everything growing up, but
Okay.
those were the ones that I enjoyed the most. I mean, I played little league and soccer. And soccer, I was bigger than everybody, so I was kicking the ball and knocking them over. We went undefeated. So,
I was
but
too lazy.
I tried everything. My father made me try everything. I ran track. I tried everything.
Could you imagine nowadays kids playing tackle football in the street? They
No.
would cry. They don't even talk about it anymore.
Yeah, no, their bones aren't even built the same. The milk is different.
I think I still have scars.
I mean, I've ran into so many cars and trucks when we were playing out there. It was almost like arena football, but it wasn't arena football.
Oh yeah. We were rough, man. I lived near the train tracks. We were jumping onto the side of the train and taking it a mile down and hopping off and having to pull each other from getting our foot caught on top of the tires, and we were jumping on the top of people's cars and like our friends and they're taking off with us on the car and we having to jump off the vehicle, land on our bubble goose. I'm surprised that we're all alive still.
It grew us up to be a lot tougher than what a lot of people think. That's why you see it on the internet all the time. The millennials, like, you don't mess with Gen X.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
Yeah,
why don't you
we
mess
grew
with
up
Gen X?
for real. Like our parents didn't know where we were all day. There were no cell phones. We were not digitally linked.
Nope.
The only thing we had at our age, and I'm sure that I speak for all 3 of us here, was that we had a beeper.
Yeah, but that wasn't even right away. That was eventually.
No,
I didn't get that till probably high school.
Yeah, yep. High school. I was Major King. It was like $30 for a plan for the year.
Yep.
It was awesome.
And you thought
Especially
you
once I went to
thought you were the
Merit
king.
ones where you can actually put a message in.
Yeah,
you check your beeper
sidekick.
just to make it look like you were doing something.
Yep.
Or if you had 2 of them, then you were definitely doing something that you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, that's true.
But then, and nowadays they don't know about payphones either. I mean, there was payphones at every corner when I grew up. It was crazy.
That's right. You called people back on the pager. It was a payphone.
10 cents. Initially, 10 cents is what it used to be back then.
I remember it was a pain in the butt when it went from 35. Then I had to carry 2 coins.
Yep.
Yeah, they couldn't make it an even 50.
No,
they couldn't make it easy. You had to find that dime.
Yeah, but life was good. I mean, we knew how to cross the street. We knew how to not get kidnapped. We knew all that good stuff. We knew if somebody started running to just start running and then figure it out after you were running, like where's the dog or what are we running from?
Yep.
Like, we were survival kids.
Roderick said he learned at a very young age. I don't have to outrun everybody. I just got to outrun you.
Yes, indeed.
Yep. And if you're a little too fast, you might trip. Just saying.
Well,
get a tripping head start. So you played sports growing up. You played all the sports. Which ones did you really get into in high school?
Basketball, Basketball was my one.
That
I
was
was
the
like
one.
Dennis Rodman, man.
How were you and what kind of student were you when you were in?
I was a good student that didn't know I was a good student. So by the time we made it to graduation, I ended up being in the top 25 of the class, and it was like a surprise to me. Like, really? Like, wow. I wish I would have applied myself.
Oh
Yeah, but
man.
I was always bright and smart, and I was just not wanting to necessarily flourish with that part of things. I wanted to just do only what I had to do. I would do somewhat of a good job if it was interesting, but for the most part, I just checked the boxes and kept it moving.
Here's the standard. I'll be here.
Yep, yep. I mean, I wasn't shooting for D's or anything like that. I had some decent grades, obviously,
Right,
but
right.
I mean, I wasn't trying to go above and beyond. Like, I wasn't going to be the what do
Valedictorian.
you call those extra classes? The
Oh, the
Honors and
AP
yeah,
classes.
yeah,
the
the
AP.
AP, and I wasn't doing no AP.
No.
I was doing my 2 years of required language classes. I did do gifted and talented for a little while just because they had some acting and I was interested in doing some theater stuff, but that was short lived too because I was too much of a jokester.
See, I think that catches everybody. Anybody who's like a social butterfly or likes being
Yeah, I was cracking too many jokes and I was being a disturbance pretty much, so it didn't work out.
but you passed.
No, yeah. Yep.
You know,
More
they
than
say
passed. He's in the top 25.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife the other day because I don't know if you know what CNA is, but I did like the certified nursing program while I was in school. But then like once we got to like clinicals and like all that stuff, and I realized I had to wipe like grown man butt and I had to do that experience, I was like, well, I just wasted a whole lot of time, bro. A whole lot of time. Like, because that's the non-glorious side of it. Y'all should have just led with that.
I didn't
All
see
that-
that in the description.
I have like a caretaker spirit, so I like to help people, but that wasn't what I pictured when I signed up for all of that. So they, like I said, they should have just led with that first, but they kind of got us like the recruiters did us.
They showed you all
They
the cool
sucked you
stuff
in.
first.
Yeah, man, they give you all the glorious stuff first, like, oh yeah, you'll be doing this, and this, and then you get in there, security forces style, you realize there's a lot of stuff that's kind of unsavory up in here.
and we're gonna get into that too. But I actually wanted to stay in the school portion of it because you played basketball, right?
Uh-huh.
Did you want to go to college to play basketball?
You know, if I had more assistance from the aspect of like adults that had already had some college experience and stuff like that, I was first generation, so like I had nobody that was in the know of any of that stuff, but I had schools that were sending me stuff like for recruiting, and I just didn't know how to navigate those waters, and I didn't end up choosing anything.
You know,
But
we spoke.
I did send my own somewhat package. It's not like we had YouTube or anything where we can show all of our video footage or anything like that. But I did kind of send some like scores and games and this and that to some schools, and there were some schools interested. I just didn't know how to navigate. So
See, it's funny because nowadays you have like platforms like Huddle and stuff like that. It's all you can put it on Twitter, you can put it on your Facebook, it all clips it for you. But back in the day, it was like you literally had to rewind your tape, stop,
yeah, I
pause
can't
and
find any
record.
footage of when we used to play back then.
We
It's all gone.
even if you had the footage, you wouldn't be able to play it because nobody has VCRs. Like
Right.
everything was in the VHS tapes.
Yep.
And you have nothing to play it with now. And it was, I mean, editing it was it was fun. I mean, I enjoyed the editing portion of it, but not knowing how to get it to the right recruiters if you didn't have the right pathway. I
Yeah,
mean,
and our
it's
freshman
hard.
team, I mean, we were blowing folks out. I mean, we went undefeated. We were beating people by like 30, 40. Like we were demolishing
I've
even as
always
freshmen.
and I've always known you as a tall individual. So how tall were you as a kid?
I was only 6'1". So
Oh, 6'1"?
uh-huh. But I
Yeah,
could
but
jump.
still for high
Yeah, I
school,
could
I mean,
like
that's a
athletically like that naturally gifted athlete. I just was able to jump and like so that made the difference up. So I
you
was
have
able
this
to play forward and stuff like that, and I was jumping out the gym.
You have the Steph Curry jump shot, or
No, I was an under the basket beast. Like I said, I was like Rodman mixed with somebody else.
like a Shaquille O'Neal type? Like
Yeah, like I
this
was
is my
definitely getting a bunch of rebounds, but I was also able to score down there and be aggressive. So
yeah. They don't play basketball like that no more.
now they try, but
No, it's all threes now.
they try. It's
It,
just they still do all the flopping in the meanwhile.
yeah, they got that too.
So
They got that too. I mean, well, I still think as good as he is, and I'll never deny LeBron James his flowers. He's a hell of an athlete, but he is the king of
flops.
absorbing fouls and flopping.
Yeah,
He's an actor.
He was destined to be
I
an
think
actor.
these days every NBA player has to take acting classes.
I think a lot of them do. I mean, I saw it in the finals this year with SGA, although they say SGA is a foul merchant, but he's still the best in the league. But he's just absorbing a lot of it. But he's also actually trying to play it the old school way, and nobody knows
his
how to
game
defend
style
it.
I can respect. I liked his gameplay a little bit more than Halliburton.
Really?
Halliburton, I felt like he was like just extra and always with his mouth open for screaming. But he wasn't the takeover player. You know what I'm saying? He had spurts, but he didn't try to dominate and take over to lead his team into victory.
I mean, I think SGA. I mean, he earned it. And
Yeah, he did.
he played well. I like the finals this year. Steve, you got a question, buddy?
Oh, man.
Not on the NBA finals.
I know. I think not on the NBA finals. So you didn't end up going to college. So I take it you went into the military straight out of high school, basically. No.
Nope.
So what'd you do? What'd you do after high school?
I was the late bloomer. I did go to college. I did a couple years. Actually, it was probably about a full year before I got myself in academic trouble because I was doing too much. So I started out as an athletic training major because, like I said, I have this spirit about me where I like to help people, and all my friends were athletes. So what better direction for me to take my education? Athletic training. So I went to I was an athletic training major at Central Connecticut State University. And I mean, I just knew a bunch of cool people. So, the hanging out aspect of life, even though I was a good student, it was certain classes like in class times that just didn't coincide with what I wanted to do. 8:00 class across campus.
Oh,
I was like, you know what? I'm paying them. They ain't paying me. I ain't going.
right? Yeah.
It's
And you
cutting into
can't
my
get in
sleep
trouble.
time.
Right. Now you just get penalized, but I also wasn't cool with everybody in the class to get the notes afterwards.
Yeah.
So
So
ended up on
wait.
academic probation, and after the end of that year, I ended up having to switch my major. So I switched to criminal justice, and then I kind of just lost interest for the most part. So I was working, and I was a supervisor at JCPenney loss prevention, of course. So we were out there chasing shoplifters and making it happen. And eventually I started a job for the city of New Britain working in the school system where, I mean, I felt like that was a lot more rewarding because helping these kids that nobody listened to. You know what I'm saying? I was security, but at the same time, I wasn't about getting kids in trouble. So a lot of the times I walk them around the hallway after they got kicked out of class and just try to really get to the root of what was going on, talk to them, figure out what was going on internally. There were kids that I bought coats for that didn't have coats.
Damn.
So I was basically a unrecognized social worker in the hallway.
Mm-hmm. You were a security counselor.
And me and my boy Carlos, like we were working them halls, man. We were really trying to just help these kids. Obviously, we still did our job, but I was in no hurry to push somebody towards suspension or anything like that.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's the kids that need it the most, right? Like, because they may not have that guidance at home, and they may not get that kind of extra attention at school because all the teachers care about is getting them through the grades and getting them through the class.
Their parents were my age and went to school with me.
Yeah, and I said that's been an issue too. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I knew a lot of their parents. This is just like, I mean, it was kids raising kids. I mean, unfortunate, but that's
Right.
really what it was. Like they
Yeah.
were kind of thrown into a situation that they shouldn't have been in to begin with.
And they didn't
But
have anybody responsible to sit there and go, "Hey, listen, I made these mistakes already. Let's just
yeah,
figure this out a little bit and guide you a different way."
yeah. So as things, I did that for a few years, and I was a loss prevention supervisor at the same time. So I was kind of burning myself out on both ends to the point where I wasn't even partying on the weekends. I was just going home and going to sleep. But eventually I got laid off, and it blindsided me, bro. I never wanted to experience that again. So during that layoff period, I went to the recruiter's office. So I ended up joining the military late. I was trying to beat the deadline of my 28th birthday, so I got in there at 27 and had like 8 days before my 28th birthday.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so I originally was trying to do linguist or an intel, but that deadline was approaching faster and faster, so I ended up just taking open general and getting pushed
Oh,
out.
that OG,
And
the
we all
OG
know
will
where you
get
ended
you.
up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
what?
no regrets. It is what it is. I was a law enforcement minded person already anyway. My father was correction officer, uncles corrections, had cops in the family. So, I mean, I was police minded or security or law enforcement minded already anyway. Plus, I'd done loss prevention and security and stuff myself. So it was no big deal. I even had a little stint where I thought about opening like a bail bonds or not bail bonds, but bail enforcement business with a couple buddies of mine, and we did all the training for that and stuff like that, but it just never panned out because you had to be bonded and all that stuff, and we're from the hood, we ain't got no credit. Oh.
So is your family background kind of what led your shift from that like medical mindset to a law enforcement security mindset?
You know, I don't even think
That's
I
kind
have
of a different shift.
I don't even think I had a medical mindset. It's just I like to help people. Like, and those were the means or the avenues that I was approached with, where I saw a way to be able to help people. Like, okay, cool, yeah, let me do that. But I was that kid where folks, you know how it was when we were all growing up. Somebody was lost, and I was the person to actually give them the directions instead of trying to give them all the wrong turns
Yeah,
when
because
they pulled over asking how to get here and how to get there, because there was no maps in the cars and none of that stuff back then.
Nope.
and people had no idea on how to read a map back then either.
Right.
They would
Nah,
look
the
at a map
phone
and
book
be like,
when they did, you just go 1A, make it meet up.
Yep. Hey, which is funny because we learned that in tech school too, to do pretty much the same thing. Just kind of
Yeah.
like you got to get
Grids.
here, you're here, go.
Right.
So now I'm gonna sit there and kind of ask a different one. So were you always kind of like, was it a last resort for you, or was it ever a thing in your mind that maybe the military would be a good option?
You know, I mean, obviously 9/11 like gave us all a little bit of that American spirit, especially because I knew like I was picking up my paycheck when the planes hit, or shortly afterwards, and one of the kids that was also picking up his paycheck, his mom worked in New York in the building, because New York is only an hour and a half away from us. So his mom worked in the building, and he was just freaking out. So it was like, I mean, we got to see, and our cell phones and everything was down because we're
Yeah.
our close proximity. So everything was down. I mean, yeah, so 9/11 kind of put a little bit of that in me, but I already felt like I was, you know, doing things as an adult, I guess you would say, and managing and supervising and city job. And so I was kind of chilling. I mean, really, I was making $25 an hour doing security and still getting overtime and stuff like that. So the overtime was $40 an hour. It was just managing and monitoring after school programs. I was, I mean, I had it
Easy
easy.
money,
But at the
sir.
same time, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I mean, what's the growth in this? Like, what am I about to be, like head security at 50 years old or something? So I'm like,
Making $29 an hour.
yeah, like what is the growth with it? So when I got laid off, it kind of set all that into my thought process. It made me really focus on that thought process and kind of come up with a plan. I never want to get laid off again. I'm like, I'm going to the military. I'm about to get a government job. I want a guaranteed paycheck. And we all know that wasn't even a guaranteed paycheck because the government was shut down on us once we got in.
Well, ain't that the truth?
Numerous times.
But at the time, we all grew up knowing that the military was stable.
Yes.
So
like it's a commitment. They're not gonna get rid of you unless you do something really wrong.
I knew it was something stable that I could rely on. So I mean, at the same time, I still had a backup plan because I took a leave of absence. I sent my resignation once I made it to my first base and had been there a while. So I made sure. I was no dummy.
That's a good plan right there.
I wasn't a dummy. I was in Alaska. I was like, all right, well, I guess, I'm about to make senior airman here soon. Let me go ahead and tie up some loose ends.
I guess I can quit from that job. I haven't worked out in 3 years.
I think I'm kicked out now. So, yeah.
That's funny.
So why the Air Force out of all the other branches?
Just because it was a smarter choice for me at the time. I wanted to be able to use my brain and not feel like I was getting straight sent off to war as soon as I stepped foot into the military. So that's all.
The benefits of coming in at later in your life, right before the cutoff, is you're smarter and you think about things.
Right.
All the flashy things like, hey, look at the pretty uniform that the Marines have, and you could be Army and jump out of planes.
Yeah. Nope. I mean, if I had known, I probably would have explored Army warrant officer, honestly. Because that's that perfect world.
The gig.
Oh yeah,
that's the gig. So where'd you go? So you get through basic, you get through tech school. What year is this at this time?
2008.
2008. So you're 2008. You get through basic, you get through tech school, and you get to your first duty station, which you said was in Alaska.
Yeah, Elmendorf.
Oh, the old Dorf.
Yep, Elmendorf. Before it was a joint base.
Yeah, now it's old J Bear.
Yep. I turned to J Bear while I was there.
Yeah, because 2010, if I remember correctly, was the big joint base ventures.
Yeah.
That's when a lot of them started
going.
In
08. I got there during an air show, honestly. So I really got the full Air Force experience. I'm coming from the city and the smog and smoke and all that stuff. I felt like my breathing was great when I got there. I was like, wow. I can breathe good. There's an air show. I'm getting to see all these jets and planes and this. And we had F-22s and F-15s and all that stuff there. So it's bro, Air Force is doing it. Well, I felt like I made it.
You got there as a cop and it's your first time there. Did they just put you right to work at the air show, or was it?
No. I was still on report no later than. I was.
Oh, okay.
Checking in. Locked out.
Yeah, man. I was chilling. I got to
enjoy the air show.
Yeah, I was a spectator. Nobody knew who I was or anything. I was just there. It's this is awesome. The bad thing is the base was so darn big. I didn't have a car there.
Oh,
so before I left, I literally got rid of everything. I really moved in faith. That was my first time moving in faith, and I wasn't even at the level of my faith as I am now. But I literally gave away everything, including my car. I gave away everything. Nothing. I was like, I'm done. I'm not coming back. And if I do come back, I'm just getting new stuff.
I mean, he didn't even quit his job. I mean, you got to think about that for a
that's
second.
True. That's true.
He had that one on standby. That's a smart move.
So I at least had some income that I would have been able to. I just wouldn't have had anything. But I gave away everything. One of the coworkers that I work with, one of the custodian dudes, was like, bro, you want this Volkswagen? Bro, here you go. I'm out. So I had no car when I got there. So I had to start fresh.
What time of year did you get there?
It was June.
Okay. So not terrible.
It was nice.
Not yet.
It was beautiful. Beautiful. That weather was perfect.
Yeah, if he would have gotten there in December, he probably would have been like, you know what, that job back at the school probably doesn't sound that bad.
I met some folks that their first base was Clear Air Station, and they still re-enlisted. Ooh. So there's hope for people out there. Air Force is doing something right, because if that was been my first base, I would have got there and I would have been like, you know what, I'm out. I still got a job at home.
I didn't quit. I haven't quit in about a year, so I'll go back.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go back to that one.
For real.
So you're at Elmendorf. Was that your first time really seeing like a lot of the wildlife that comes with Elmendorf Air Force Base
Yeah,
as well?
that was my first time. I had only been up and down the East Coast.
Okay.
I-95. Anything you can access from I-95 all the way up and down, I had seen.
Okay.
So you saw moose, bear,
yeah.
all for the first time.
I tell people all the time that I liked it because everything that I needed to be aware of was big. I didn't have to worry about spiders, ants, none of that little stuff. You only had to worry about big stuff. So I love that aspect of it.
Yeah, but the Air Force has a way of pulling tricks on you because your next duty station was Dias, right?
It was, but it wasn't. That was just God mixing some things up and moving me around because I was supposed to go to Aviano.
Okay.
Then it was a last minute change after I had already met folks from Dias because I had already deployed with Udic and Carney and a bunch of these other folks that were at Dias, and like we had a real deal deployment because I was there with a CPEC team, and we were 50 cal gunners, and we were supposed to be doing some of the whatever they considered the cool stuff while we were there. So we got to meet a lot of the folks that were there from Dias already in 2009 when I was deployed.
Okay.
So then I was supposed to report to Aviano in June, and in May they switched my orders to Dias. So I had already sold my truck, started selling some of my guns because I knew I wasn't going to be able to have that stuff in Italy. And then they gave me the old switcheroo the last minute, but that was God kind of orchestrating that stuff because once I got to Dias, I met my wife, all that.
Yeah, but the Air Force still has a way of playing some tricks because you sat there, you said you didn't have to worry about anything in Alaska because you knew everything that was bad for you was huge and bigger for you.
Yeah, that's the opposite.
Then you get to Dias Air Force Base in Abilene, Texas, and then
they still did the same thing to me on flight though, because they would be sending me the calls. We got a report of a moose in housing. Like, what do you want me to do about it? I'm a black dude from the city. You about to send me to housing for a moose? Like, I'll beat the horn at him. That's it.
From afar.
I'm like, don't send me to no dog call, bro. Like, I'm the dude that ran from dogs. Like, don't send me to no dog call. And then I get to Dias and they're calling about like snakes and stuff.
Rattlesnakes, yep. I was just about to say it.
Yep, nope.
Once again,
I don't mess with no snakes. Nope.
I'm a black dude from up north. What do you want me to do about it? Like, if I can roll the car up to him, I'll run him over.
Because they sent the rattlesnake capital of the world where they had the rattlesnake roundup over in Sweetwater.
Yeah. I remember Greenfield. He used to be telling me how he went up there and he would be saving all that stuff to eat and bringing in rattlesnake stew and stuff. I'm like, I'm good, bro. As long as you like it. I'm good.
You start sitting there looking at him like, yeah.
I'm a city boy. I wouldn't even eat the reindeer sausage in Alaska. Like, I don't do the gamey foods. But while I was there, I did have some good experiences. I was there for the F-22 crash, and as horrible as that was, it was right before the holidays. It was right before Thanksgiving, and we ended up out there for 13 days in like the most like austere environment while I was in Alaska. Like, it was 50 below with the wind chill. We had to have Sear out there. Our tents were like only 2 feet off the ground. We were pooping and peeing in a hole, but we were up there it was a recovery effort. Because the pilot and the plane and the plane is F-22, so everything is classified. So we were up there helping to bag up and try to keep the wildlife that was awakened away from everybody that was up there.
Yeah, because you got to secure the crime scene, the scene, not the crime scene, but the scene.
Yeah, man. I was up there for 13 days. Oof. I lost 13 pounds in 13 days, and I was eating probably 7,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
Oof.
But I mean, we made Thanksgiving happen. Like the staff sergeants and stuff, tech sergeant, I believe at the time, folks that was with us, with Sergeant Spencer, Sergeant Captain, like, bro, they had us so taken care of. They went into town, got a turkey fryer. We fried a turkey up there. We had like the Mermite style MRE stuffing and all that stuff. Like, we had Thanksgiving for everybody up there.
That's awesome.
But
and I learned that hot Gatorade was like the bomb when you in negative 50 degrees. So we had like this witch's kettle style thing on a fire that had water with Gatorade, like the orange Gatorade in it. We're all like sitting there with the wind to our backs, just drinking hot Gatorade. It was absolutely amazing.
It kind of goes to show that, you know, when you're in the crappiest situations and it's almost unbearable, you can make anything. Your mind can find a way to get through anything as long as you have the right people with you.
Yes, it's the people.
Yeah, I started thinking that I was at all the airplane crashes though. We had one crash while I was in Afghanistan. We had two crash while I was at Elmendorf. Did we lose one while I was at Dias?
No, but we did have an incident where
we lost one on deployment. Yeah,
we lost one on deployment, but we also it was my shift, but somebody may have overfueled one of the planes, and it ended up on its tail one day.
Oh yeah, that was the wind. I was there that day. The flight line.
Wind?
That was the wind.
Oh.
That wind picked up and they didn't anchor it down properly.
Oof.
Yeah, that thing was trying to go. Folks used to be out there complaining about that flight line mission, and the flight line mission at Dias was so easy after coming from Alaska. Bro, they made us walk in the whole perimeter of the fence on the inside and outside. Like, I want to see footprints on the inside and outside. Like, it's a chain link fence. I only got to walk one side.
You can see it from both sides.
Yeah, but they still made us do it anyway. I mean, they treated us like you know how they do the troops in Korea. Like, they made us do it the hard way. And then when I got to Dias, I'm like, y'all complaining about this flight line mission? I mean, I got some of it because folks would crash vehicles, then they would make us walk. But I'm like, it's still not that far, bro. Like, the fire department's right there.
You could walk that mile. You could walk. It's not a big deal.
Plus, you ain't got to worry about responding to nothing fast. Take my vehicle. Bro, I bust the response time. That's on y'all.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, at Dias, and you mentioned that you were in Afghanistan back in 2009.
Yep.
And then you get Dias and you get on the hook for Afghanistan again. I want to talk about your deployments. How many times to Afghanistan? Any time to Iraq?
Nope.
What are we looking at?
I missed the Iraq cut while I was at Elmendorf because I ended up doing base access. So once I went back office, I ended up missing out on all the good stuff.
Okay.
The LUDs and all that stuff. So I ended up
Saudi Arabia and all that.
Twice. Long tours in Afghanistan, mind you, for both. But I was there twice, and twice I got to do some stuff that not the typical security forces members were doing. Unfortunately, both times people died on our watch. But
yeah. I want to get into a little bit of that too, but let's go with the first deployment. So the first deployment, what was the traditional mission set? When everybody hears security forces from the Air Force, they think you're just guarding the flight line.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand a lot about the other side of it, that we have other tasks.
Yeah,
and taskers.
Right. So we were taking over the Army's quick reaction force when we got there. So that's what we ended up doing. So kind of like the later deployments, we were kind of chasing not the POO site, but the POI site, like the point of impact.
Right.
So as these folks were like launching their attacks on the base, like we were securing the perimeter or responding on the perimeter. We would respond, obviously, if there was a breach or something on the perimeter. We were the team that was going to be the go, but they weren't that bold during that deployment. So as they were launching attacks, like we were responding to every site that got hit. And I mean, I've had to respond to folks that were just about to go home and ended up getting hit in their buildings where they were living and stuff like that, their B hut. Like, man, I thought I would never get the smell of like that explosion out of my nose for a long time. Like I literally, and I'm the person with the CLS bag because I'm also CLS, like running in there to try to help, and there's absolutely nothing I can do.
Yeah, that's rough.
So yeah, it was one of those ones, man.
Steve,
and that was, of course, towards the end of the deployment.
Of course, it never happens when you're there.
Oh, bro,
that's how it always happens.
Towards the end of the deployment. So I got to go home with this somber feeling, and I got this smell of like the whole explosion in that room and that environment of the person dying in my nose. And I felt like I couldn't get it. get it
Yeah.
out. Like, I'm like, dang, how do I get rid of this? Like, it's just a constant reminder.
Yeah, it's kind of hard, especially because you're not an 18-year-old, and I'm not saying that really makes a huge difference mentally as far as the things that you see and the things that you smell, and how, because smell has an impact on you. Like it really does. It ties a lot of things in. Nowadays, you can smell certain things, and it kind of brings you right back to it.
Right. Yep.
You know. But I guess I would say
And
that
sounds.
yeah,
Because
sounds too.
getting triggered. I remember being at Myrtle Beach with my family on vacation, and we had a what you call it? What do they call those things on top of the power lines? The thing just
Transformer.
exploded. Transformer
Those Transformers.
exploded, bro. I thought I was about to have to do my I was about to be all postured up, bro. Like, I had just had my son. Like, I mean, this is like literally one of my first vacations after like he was born. He was, I want to say, probably 6 months old. We're in just Myrtle Beach when
Oh,
Transformer exploded. Like,
and it
bro,
kicks back into
that set
something that
me
you don't want.
straight back to Afghanistan in my mind.
And it's crazy because you can never let it go too. You know.
Yeah.
Steve, you got a question, buddy?
No, I was just that reminded me of an incident that very similar that I had, because I had just gotten back from Iraq. I never made it to Afghanistan, but I did the Iraq piece. But I got back to Goodfellow, and they had the fire training area, and so the way that they would set it up is they would bleed the lines with propane for like a couple of minutes, and then light. Right. So if you've ever like bled anything with propane or natural gas and then light it, like there's that almost like an explosion. And I was out on a foot patrol, just making the day go by, right? And I ain't got nothing going on, and then boom, I couldn't tell you how fast I hit the ground. Like it was just like it was like a natural instinct just to hit, So yeah, I've been there, done that, and the smells will take you back, both positive and negative, right?
Yep.
Take you back home sometimes, and then take you back to some negative places. So how was the transition mentally and emotionally coming back after that? Because things were a lot different than they are now as far as the programs and the procedures that they have in place to help military in that transition.
Well, 2009 was a transition period altogether for the military and for how the combatant folks were operating, because we still had Humvees at the time out there. And I mean, these things were coming back. We were having fallen comrade ceremonies every single day. These things were coming back in like 16, 17, 18, 19 pieces. Like, and you were seeing these special forces guys that obviously, I mean, I'm sure they were like super tough, but they were just so broken, bro. And we were seeing that brokenness every single day.
And
Every single day.
did that affect you as even though you may not have known those individuals?
I think sometimes like that desperation brings people closer to God anyway. So it affected me kind of. The negative became positive. So like if you're looking for something to grasp on, you grasp on that. You fall back on faith. And that deployment was an eye opener. So once I got back, I got more focused.
Okay.
On doing things that I needed to do. I finished my CCAF. I started attending church more regularly. Started going to some church functions with the guys, some men's retreats, and so I kind of got back to what should have been the basics at the time, and fell back on faith.
Would you say it's almost like an appreciation of the things that you may have lost appreciation for?
I would say so. Yeah. Or the things that I should be focusing on more so than our little selfish, prideful desires of us. You know what I'm saying? Even though I was a helpful, spirited person, that was already in me. You know what I'm saying? Most of us, most of the time, we're thinking about what it is, how things affect us.
Yes.
Or what we need or our needs above somebody else's. We weren't, especially if you haven't made it through, you haven't ranked up enough to get that whole training of looking through other people's windows and doing all that stuff. Like that wasn't something that was common knowledge for us to just know that there's a different perspective to everything.
So, it's funny because I've always found that when you find a solution, or when God puts a solution, depending on your faith, because everybody has different faiths, right? But if you believe in God and God gives you a solution, or God guides you away, and then you think you're good, you figured it out, but then He finds a way to test you. And
Well, that's the thing. He's not going to give us what we can't handle.
right, but He finds
So
a way to.
hang
It's almost
on.
like His way
No,
of
you got to hang on,
validating.
guy.
It's almost
So,
like His way of validating your faith, and that brings me into
well, he's not
your
going to give you something where you feel like you only need to rely on you and you don't need to rely on him. So,
right. Right. And what I'm saying is, like, for your next deployment back to Afghanistan, it was with me,
yep.
and we had a very different mission set than what you had the first time.
Yeah. We were the true, real quick reaction force to the 10th degree. Like
Yeah.
we were outside the wire doing stuff that wasn't typical, and we were working with the Army, and the Army's ways were different than the Air Force's ways.
Yep.
Definitely. Amen to that.
Once we are given ammunition and explosives, whatever we don't expend, the Air Force wants back. Once the Army's given ammunition and explosives, it's considered expended.
Don't bring it back.
We were given buckets of grenades and all types of stuff. Like we really were like in an environment that just was not typical of us. But at the same time, the way we safe and put our weapons, charge our weapons and stuff, and that whole process is a lot different than the Army too.
Oh, like, very true.
Very, very true.
Right. So it was real joint force life out there, and we were really out there and challenged. I mean, so our leadership was putting us in some real precarious situations where, for instance, like TCPs on main roadways looking for products to make explosives like Can 26 and stuff like that for 8 hours.
Yep.
So that everybody knew we were out there and where they can find us. So there were a lot of periods where we got to really sit back and reflect on, like, bro, like, if you don't appreciate life now, like, you better start appreciating it, because it might end shortly.
So and this, so I kind of want to rewind just a little bit. So the mission set that we were doing, and for anybody who hasn't understood or never really knew it, the Army was responding to everything outside the wire, and the Air Force held into everything inside the base. Well, at some point,
prior to,
right, and at some point, the
Iraq
mission
and Afghanistan.
Well, this, even in Afghanistan, like the Army was responding to everything outside of the base, and then what happened is they were getting either spread out too thin because they were pushing out further, and they couldn't respond to anything right around the base, so they decided to, I don't know how to say it the best way, but give the Air Force, going, hey, you guys train similar to us. We have the same way to train. Let us give you guys up to 5 miles. That's your area of responsibility. And then now it's a very loose 5 miles.
Right.
It's a very, very loose
5, 15, 20, whatever you want to call it.
It's very loose. I mean, we've gotten lost quite a few times.
There was a guideline. It wasn't really a rule. It was more of a guideline.
Yeah, because we were walking about 12 clicks a night with my squad leader.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. With yours too. With mine too. Mine especially too.
Yeah.
Who like to challenge yours on how far they could walk. But by the way, when we talk about leadership, we're not talking about our squad leaders, because our squad leaders were actually spot on and A-okay.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. To this day, we have relationships with them.
To this day, they are two of the most amazing human beings that I've ever worked for. So they're pretty awesome. But we looked at how that transitioned over, and we still had Army that we were working with, because they would work in conjunction with us, and we would do joint missions and stuff like that. But I also talked about how some things test your faith. You had a couple close calls.
Yeah, early on in that deployment, I was unsure if we were going to make it back alive. But I mean, to be clear, I was very confident in our ability to do our job, like our shoot, move, communicate, our route clearance, whatever it was. I was comfortable knowing how we were trained and the folks that were selected from that training and our ability. Like, it's just, yeah, some of the situations and the way things operate in Afghanistan are unique to Afghanistan, and there's no book, there's no anything that can set you straight to prepare you for everything that you might encounter.
Yeah.
And we just became the tick magnets, troops in
Yes.
contact all
Yeah.
the time. And that incident that you're talking about, the fuel yard, that was April 5th. Like, bro, that was our day that I felt like we weren't supposed to be here. Not all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. And like to this day, I still have folks telling me, when we heard you come over the radio, we knew that everything was okay, because I was the RTO at the time.
Yeah.
So
I remember that too.
I was the person that had to coordinate any air assets that were in the area, as well as communicate with our TOC.
Yep.
So yeah, man, it was crazy. It
And that,
was absolutely bonkers. We
and
lost our interpreter. We didn't lose him like as a casualty, but we lost him because of some of the injuries he sustained.
yep.
He wasn't trying to roll out anymore. So then we had to kind of reassess. They gave us a day off to pet the mental health dog, and we were back out there 2 days later with a new terp and a kind of a new mindset. Like, bro,
And
it was crazy.
it was a crazy incident. It wasn't anything that that anybody would have expected, especially.
No, it was, anytime you're dealing with a group of people that are willing to kill themselves to kill others,
Mm-hmm.
like, there's no victories there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because we care about our lives, we care about the lives of others, including this person that's going to blow themselves up. And
Yep.
that's precisely what he did. He hopped out of his vehicle, approached us, and blew himself up. And by the grace of God and God's protection, the way he set that vest up, his body shielded us from the majority of the blast.
I mean, it is
But then when
crazy.
we looked at it on those cameras, man, that mushroom and all that stuff from him exploding himself, like, there's no way.
Yeah.
That's only by the grace. Like, for real.
I remember that very, very vividly too. I remember because we were actually going to go out to respond to secure the scene for you guys. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you remember that, but Udick and I were forming people with our squad leader to get going once we heard you guys were hit.
Yeah, I think the thing that hurt me the most during that incident was there was a 14 and 15-year-old that got killed, and like they were right next to me, and I'm like, can I help them? Like, I have the means to help them. Can I help them? And they're like, no, hold security.
Yeah, that's
like,
rough.
But meanwhile, they're dying out, and like right next to me, where I could have at least tourniquet or something.
Yeah, that's tough.
So,
Steve, you got a question, buddy?
Oh, yeah. So now your second deployment is clearly different than your first. You went through a transition period after your first one, and whatever you needed to do mental health wise there. But how was it with the second one, especially with the close calls and thinking about family and relying heavily on your faith? How was it coming back from your second one?
that second deployment was a challenge all the way around. I mean, our guys, we had all kind of mutually gotten to a point where we sought out someone while we were on deployment, like during our off time, and we were actually having Bible study and stuff like that. I was praying over our truck before we went outside the wire. So we had that strong faith because we weren't sure if we were going to make it back alive. So we wanted to make sure that we at least took that part of our health, mental, physical, spiritual, at least the spiritual aspect of our health into consideration, because I mean, we weren't eating properly, we weren't sleeping properly, we were still being loaned out during our sleep time to the sectors for us to run exercises, and then when our guys are so tired that they forget their weapons on a vehicle, like we were being penalized for it still. And like, I mean, they were really like burning us on both ends. And I had my grandmother died during the deployment. My driver's grandma died during the deployment. We had to basically fire one of our NCOs from our truck because he was leaving his primary weapon system back at the B hut, and like that deployment was a full challenge all the way around. We were being challenged by leadership. We were being challenged by ROEs. You know, I mean, there was like, I mean, it was ridiculous. We were there during the Quran burning.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. Like, so, I mean,
Remember
there were
that.
so many security forces members that lost their careers because they were busted in the face with rocks that weren't supposed to be humanly thrown. They were throwing cow heads at us, old Russian grenades,
Yep.
sting ball grenades. They were just eating those things like they were Twinkies.
They were
Like,
even shooting shotguns.
Yeah, they're eating sting ball grenades like it was Twinkies. Like they didn't care. It was the toughest group of people that you could ever encounter.
Mm-hmm.
So we were being challenged all the way around, man. Like whatever way that they could present a challenge to us, whether it's our leadership or the folks that were against us, like we were challenged. They started figuring out that we were chasing poo sites, so then they were starting to try to booby trap.
Yep.
The way out there. We were being told that we couldn't help our counterparts, like the A&A folks that were out there. So we would visit these towers and stuff where they're set up and kind of build relationships with them because, I mean, they were our Overwatch and they getting attacked and we can't. We're just like, they're like, nope,
no,
can't do nothing.
Told no. And even our
And
army counterparts.
Our army counterparts. That was the one day that we were off after working a 7-0 for however long. And then not just that, but we got our EOD folks.
Oh, yeah,
we're finding weapons caches and stuff, and they're like, "Oh nope, it's 8:30. We can't come out. We'll see. We'll get out there tomorrow." Until this day, I remember the senior master. I'm like, man, if I ever see that guy in life, bro, senior master Wade, if you listening, bro, like that's wrong, bro. Like
we got some catching up to do.
I talked to Rhodes about this last week or whatever. Like, bro, those were the same ones that ended up affecting him on his deployment and some of these other folks. Like,
yeah,
like all this stuff that EOD could have taken care of, and all these things where folks are putting restrictions where they shouldn't, and everybody's on deployment together. Everybody's supposed to pull their weight and do their job. Like, and it just wasn't like that. I was fighting with leadership inside. Not physically fighting, but almost physically fighting inside our little supply closets because they're mad at our teammates and they want to tell them to shut the F up in the middle of a op order or whatever. Not even an op order. They interrupted our op order to come talk to us about a missing weapon or something or other. Like I said,
in the middle of an op order,
because they were loaning us out during our sleep time to the sectors to run meaningless exercises. One of our guys forgot his M9 on top of the vehicle and drove off, so he doesn't know where it fell off. So we're about to conduct our op order. They come in, interrupt, and then tell him to shut the F up. And I'm not even I don't even think I was a staff sergeant at the time.
You were.
But I wasn't for it. Like, so, like, all right, well, yeah, come on, step out. Let's talk about it.
And this is a master sergeant. This is a master sergeant.
Yes. That ended up being at one of the bases that I had to go to, but luckily he was gone.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna mention his name.
Right.
Out of respect, but it was definitely an individual that
man. So it was a challenge, and I'm not that type of personality. Like, I'm that person that to this day, if there's a kid doing something in line wrong at Walmart, hey kid, stop. Like, I'm not to stand back and let you abuse your power or abuse somebody else type of person.
Right.
I'm not that guy. So I wasn't going to stand for it then, the same way I wouldn't stand for it now.
Well, so good for you, because he shouldn't have interrupted an op order of all things. And then
he should have known better is the big thing. It's
these were guys that were patrolling around on golf carts and stuff.
Yes.
Just to catch us with headphones on or morale patches while we were getting spun up to go outside the wire where we can possibly die. Like, just let us have this music, bro. This could be my last moment.
Let me have into all those videos where you get chiefed. All those,
I remember those
your
videos.
reflective belt isn't on, or you can't
Yeah,
wear
come
flip
on,
flops,
bro.
the porta john. I'm like, I'm about to piss myself. I have to go. Like, you can counsel
Yeah.
me later.
Right. Let us get our vehicles spun up. It's not like y'all keeping, and the vehicles were going down left and right. So we were constantly having to switch all of our equipment over to new vehicles. And
Oh.
like, we'd be in that process and they just be nitpicking. Like, just let us do what we got to do, bro. This is part of our survival.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it's possibly the last 10 minutes that I have here
Yeah.
alive with my friends and family. Give me my 10 minutes.
Right.
Just give me my 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It got to the point where I was fixing RTO stuff outside the wire. Folks was like looking at me like I'm crazy because I'm standing up on top of the vehicles out there in the village. But I'm like, bro, if it's my time, it's my time, bro.
Yeah.
I'd rather deal with it out here than inside the wire.
So we finish our deployment, and other things happened throughout the deployment that we had all experienced that were also very tough.
Mhm.
Like, that's not the only story, but
No, definitely not.
'Cause
Far from.
yeah, we have quite a few others, and I would love to have you back on so we can share other stories. But you come back and we get back to base, and then you were ready to punch out and get out of the
Yeah,
military
I
at
had
that
to
time.
have a different mindset when I got back because I was injured. Like we said, there's other incidents. One of the result of one of those, I was out on patrol. I got a scorpion bite while I was on that deployment. So, like I said, I was challenged from all different types of aspects. So, as soon as I got back, I had to have surgery and a skin graft and stuff for that, as well as a wound vac and all this other stuff going on. My feet were jacked up. My back was acting up. It wasn't at the point where I wanted to say something about it because I knew I still had to do ALS because though I had put on staff on that deployment, I still had to do the ALS aspect.
Mhm.
So during ALS, like my discs were all herniated, all jacked up in my back. I had physical therapy. So at this point, and then, now my wife is pregnant and it's about to be a high risk pregnancy. And I'm like, bro, I have all these things going on. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm obviously not fit for like to do my job at the level that I'm supposed to do it at. So I start
Right.
looking for avenues to kind of do something different. I start looking at UAV stuff like that, trying to switch career fields, and that stuff didn't pan out. So I ended up palace chasing to the reserves just so I can get my life together, get my health back in order, get my mind back in order, kind of settle some things down and be a little bit more grounded, a little bit more stable. And
still serve being a
right.
reservist, but
Still serve. I mean, I didn't feel like I wanted to get out completely. I just needed a slower tempo.
right.
I needed to be able to slow things down where I could recover properly and just kind of take some time for the family. Like this, mind you, I joined at 28. I don't have any kids, so at this point, I'm about to have a kid, and it's a high risk pregnancy.
It's
So
another
That's a
level.
scary thought for your first one.
right. So
I mean, it's a scary thought for any of them, but
all things
especially your first one.
considered, I felt like I was making the best choices for me and my family.
But I think you touch on something that you said just a little bit ago, though, like where you were like, if I can't serve in the capacity that I want to serve, I have to find a different avenue.
Yeah, I have
Is
to
that
take
the
a knee.
athlete? Is that the athlete in you too? It's not.
That's
It's like
just
self-respect.
I mean, it's the man in me. You know what I'm saying? If I need to take a knee so that somebody else doesn't have to pick up my slack or pick me up, then I need to take a knee. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, somebody else is going to be trying to take care of themselves and take care of me.
So you palace chased, and then you end up in San Antonio at that time? Because
No,
that's
I ended up at Pope.
okay.
Yep.
North Carolina.
Yes, sir. Best
Okay.
experience ever. Because I also during that palace chase, I switched over to combat arms.
Okay.
So best experience ever, man. We were like, I was basically back on active duty. Like I was on active orders. We were taking care of all the combat weather, CCT, all those folks. So all those special force troops, like
So
we were
it
making
was
sure
like
that they were
it
good
was
to
like you
go.
never left. It was like
Right,
just like you never left.
right. Yep. I had an awesome team, awesome group. I mean, my back was still messed up. My back was royally messed up because, for one, I didn't slow down. I was still doing PT tests, even though I wasn't supposed to be doing PT tests. They gave me muscle relaxers, so I'm taking my muscle relaxers and I'm running every day to make sure that I'm ready. And I mean, the damage was just catastrophic for the most part. I end up having like 4 back surgeries. So I have rods and all that good stuff in my back. And
How long did you stay at Pope?
Until they broke it, basically. They disbanded the whole Pope mission and saying that basically like they weren't supporting the army no more, and that was 2016.
Okay.
So then I ended up at Seymour Johnson. You know who was at that base? Master Sergeant.
Yeah.
So, I ended up at Seymour Johnson. I do combat arms mission there. It's great. Seymour Johnson, their combat arms shop is way on the back side of the flight line. The only drawback is you have to smell the pig stuff from the pig farms that are nearby. But like I said, another awesome experience. We had some good guys there, Merlot and some of these other guys that were there, like absolutely awesome. I mean, no complaints. But then I accept a civilian job in San Antonio. And at the time, I technically lived outside of Charlotte, but I was on orders and stuff constantly. So my family and I were pretty much at Pope the whole time.
Right.
So, but before Pope or right after Pope disbanded, I accept a job in San Antonio, a DAF job. Okay. Once again, moving on faith because my back is so jacked up and I still have to do the PT test and the agility test or whatever for after moving my stuff and loading up a truck and driving here. We were waiting for housing. Didn't have any housing yet. Didn't have any housing. So we're in the base hotel hoping that the housing folks would call us and tell us that we made it on the waiting list. And they did after I took my PT test. So we were luckily in the hotel for that period for me to be able to knock out that test and make it through that process and get the job. And then we got the call and moved into housing on base. But then I switched over to Seymour Johnson and I would just fly out.
Okay.
To go out there.
Steve, you got a question?
So those of us have been to San Antonio because I grew up in San Antonio. So which base were you at in San Antonio?
Lackland.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yep. So were you doing combat arms there too?
No, I was just civilian DAF. Well, I ended up in the armory eventually. But
you can never leave it. You can never leave it.
I reworked the mess out of the armory and things just weren't a good fit there for my body and my mindset. You know what I'm saying? Because I had folks that just were promising me stuff that they couldn't fulfill. All right, well, we're going to get you a permanent position in the armory because I was still a term employee.
Yeah, that was big in the DAF from especially.
Right. And I wanted something, bro. Like, I've been laid off before. You're not about to put me in a situation where I told myself I ain't going to never be in no more. So yeah, term, it don't work for me. I need some guarantees. Oh yeah, well you got this combat arms experience. You come on into the armory and you work this for us, and I promise you we're going to get you a permanent position. Man, I turned the armory completely around, like to the point where they came out during inspection and said, you know what, I think we're going to implement this like Air Force wide. I'm like, bro, if that ain't enough, like kudos for y'all to to follow through on your word. But long story long, didn't happen. Didn't happen. And it is what it is. And then they lied on me when I had to stop because of my back, and saying that anytime that I had to lift something heavy, they had somebody do it for me. So I already knew what I was dealing with at that point. I'm like, it is what it is. I went back to school because it's been a long time since I had done the college thing. Went back to school and just showed out for my kids and grandkids. Mind you, I have grandkids. So
nice. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, let's clarify. the first kid, my wife had kids already, so
Yes.
those kids are older and they had kids. So I actually had grandkids before I had a kid
Interesting.
of my own.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying?
You know what? Just break the status quo. I mean, that's all it
Yeah.
is. Like,
You know what I'm saying? So
Why be the norm?
I went back to school to show these kids that they can do bigger and better than I can. If I can do it, they can. So I got a computer science degree a couple years ago. Yeah.
Congratulations, brother. That's
Yes,
awesome.
sir. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, before we move on to what you're doing now, you retired. Did that play a role on your psyche as far as transitioning out of service and going back to
No, it
civilian?
didn't, because I look back at how the Lord kind of like worked some of this stuff, like with me having the mindset of not wanting to just get out and doing the palace chase and going to the reserves, and these injuries and stuff being documented the whole time and all this stuff. Like, it really worked out beautifully. Like, I couldn't have planned it like myself like that, to end up with a medical retirement from the reserve, which ends up being the same as being
It's the same
retired.
thing.
Right. I mean, obviously I don't get the retired check unless we can get this bill passed.
Oh, that'd be so freaking awesome.
Yeah. It's this Major Richard Starr Act.
But we still get our disability.
Right.
And stuff like that,
So,
which is a good chunk of change.
Right. They still acknowledge my effort to do my 20 years.
Yes.
By giving me that retired ID, which was a big deal to me, because I wasn't the person that was going to get out in the first place.
Right. I
wanted that stability. Like, I was a good fit in the Air Force. I was always a good troop. Like, once I made it to leadership, like, I was a good leader. Like, I was always about my people.
So I've always known you to be a positive. You've always been a positive dude, man. You're making people laugh. You're making people, you're having fun with people. You're always you build a community around you. You know what I'm saying? You've always wanted to build a community around you of good people that wanted to hang out, spend time, make you laugh. Nothing stupid.
Right.
It was always just taking care of each other.
Yep.
So I never saw you having an issue even transitioning out of service, but like, did you find some struggles, or was it all fairly, because of your attitude, you found a way to make it really
I
positive?
think so. Yeah. I mean, I have a good support system. My wife, my family, God, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm always slow to anger, quick to listen. I'm slow to make decisions sometimes, and I think that works to my benefit. So I just take things slow. I make sure I put some thought into what's going on, whether it's big or small. So I think that worked in my benefit.
And did you have a couple little jobs before you, or like when you got out, before you're doing what you're doing now?
No, once that DAF gig went sour, I went back to school, and that was it. I mean, I have a couple little things. I mean, this week, bro, let me tell you this story real quick. Let's segue real quick.
Okay. Well, we love segue. Let's go.
Oh, I have a vehicle on Turo.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that's like some extra income or whatever, because the vehicle is always out. Somebody rented this thing last week on Tuesday, and the Holy Spirit told me, bro, I ain't going to see this car no more if I give it to this person, but I knew I would be penalized if I didn't give them the keys. So I'm like, all right, well, I ain't going to let Turo jack up my all-star status by refusing this person's rental. Bro, my car is in Mexico right now. Stolen.
Oh. Yeah, you ain't getting that one back, bro.
No.
Yeah.
It's already in pieces.
Yeah, it's gone. And I have tracking on it, and I can see where it's moving, and it's at these government buildings. So it's like, bro, if the government is in on it.
Wow.
Yeah, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm not mad about it. I knew better. I just went about it.
See, it's the positivity, because if it would have happened to me.
Well, like I told my wife, had this happened to somebody that this was their only vehicle that they relying on, like, that would have been so hurtful. But this is our extra vehicle. We have 3 other vehicles here.
Oh, so you weren't out
not including vehicles that we have for the business, because we have a couple buses and stuff like that. So I'm blessed. I ain't worried about it.
Were you able to file an insurance claim on at least?
I got insurance. I just did the police report last week, so I'm just waiting to see if they recover it or not, and then I'll take it from there.
So let's talk about now this, and I've been excited about this one. You are currently doing what now? Because I know what you're doing, but Steve doesn't know much about it, and
I
our listeners
am
don't.
the #1 donor and volunteer for an organization that I founded. I'm the founder and CEO of the Good Faith Veterans Foundation. So this is us. This is us.
I
right
love the
here.
hat.
Okay.
I love the hat.
So what's the mission?
Our mission, I'm going to read it to you verbatim.
Perfect.
Our mission is to enhance the well-being and quality of life of those who have served in the military along with their families. We aim to achieve this through advocacy, providing access to benefits, offering essential resources, and assisting with housing needs. So this is another one of those things that was kind of God kind of moving pieces around, because I had thought about, there was a couple groups that I cycled with, because I have a recumbent bike and I do a bunch of cycling because it's kind of like the only thing that I have left that I can do, being a old athlete and wanting to do all this athletic stuff, but having my back in the condition that it is, the knees and all this stuff. Like the recumbent is one of the last things that I can do to kind of get some cardio and make sure I'm here for my kids, grandkids. So one of the old groups that I used to cycle with kind of started having some rough patches and stuff. So I was like, I started a cycling group, like separate, and kind of just like, dang, like I feel like I should start my own group or something. And then I didn't really mention anything to anybody, but then I started getting constant confirmations from folks. Hey, you ever thought about starting? You ever started about doing it? You should start. Like, so 4th of July last
Talk
year,
about some sign.
somebody confirmed on the 4th of July, like, you should really like start your own nonprofit. Yeah. Okay. And it just took off from there. I'm like, you know what, Lord? Like, I'm going to stop avoiding you telling me that I need to do this and go ahead and do it. I'm going to be
Not sure
obedient.
how much clearer the sign
I
can
had
get.
been doing a bunch of fasting, praying. I cut soda out of my life. Like, I ain't drank soda in about 2 years now.
Good for you.
Like, so I'm just trying to be obedient. So that was the start, and that's where we're at today. Good Faith Veterans Foundation. We are located here in San Antonio, but we have helped folks outside of San Antonio as well. Unfortunately, and fortunately, I have the means to be the top volunteer. I don't get paid. I don't have a paycheck or anything, at least as of now. And I'm the top donor. So a lot of the initial funds and stuff, I've kind of used my own money, basically. And we have one of our big programs is adaptive cycling. And that previous organization, shortly after I got us established, they actually ended up going completely under and out of business as a nonprofit. So like the timing of this, like, well, now I see.
It just kind of fell in. You kind of fell in line with it.
Right. So now we're servicing a lot of those same veterans in this cycling community here, and it's been God sent, literally.
And you just use this term, but you're still serving, just in a different capacity.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It takes like, a lot more of my time than I like to give a lot of the times, because I'm the person that did the website. Like I said, a computer science background. So to save money, I did the website. I create the website myself. Anytime there's an update or something needed on the website, I'm the person that's doing it. And I'm the person that's out pulling the trailer, because I have a trailer full of bikes and all the equipment that we need to run the cycling program. And we're unlike these other programs because we don't just invite the military or veterans. We want the civilian, family members, friends. This is a group collaboration. Like, the veterans can't get better if the rest of the community is not involved.
Right.
And what's funny is, like, I told you that this earlier, where you were always the one that would bring a community around you, and you've always had it in you. You just finally found a way to bring it all together. I think it's a beautiful thing, because you also have another thing going on with suicide awareness as well.
I have some initiatives that I'd like to start that are near and dear and close to heart, with the names of a couple of folks that I've served with that we lost. and we're just trying to drive all these missions forward. Funding is the issue, like I said, because I'm boots on the ground and I'm here, there, and everywhere. I don't have time to market us to some of these bigger local businesses and these donors and stuff like that, which is what I should do, but I enjoy helping people.
Yes, sir.
So I'm out here leading rides and talking to people. We've done fellowships. We've done just a slew of different things. We've hosted troops for the holidays and stuff here, and
It's a
done
beautiful thing, man.
luncheons, and wherever we can help out, we're helping out. I've used my buses for not just veterans. We've been out giving sleeping bags and hot hands and hot meals and drinks to the homeless during these cold spells. We'll be doing the same thing as it gets heated up here in the summer, going out just to help them try to cool down with some cool drinks and whatever else. Let them step into the bus, get some AC. Just trying to help this. And mind you, this is all stuff that my family and I were doing anyway. We would go over to Lackland and stuff like that and hit the gate guards and all those folks, give them coffee and food and stuff like that. We would help the homeless folks already. So it just gives a name and a face to it now. We're starting to partner with the city of San Antonio and their Veterans Alliance programs and stuff like that. So slowly but surely, we're gonna be able to help more and more and more. But it takes me stepping back and allowing some of these volunteers to kind of step up and allow me some time to get out and talk to people, or at least find somebody else willing to get out and talk to people.
So with that said, this is your opportunity right now. I'm gonna give you the floor. Where can they find you? How can anybody donate if they're interested in it? Where can they find you on the web and get more information for anybody who's interested?
By all means, you can always call. I keep the business phone with me. It's 210-551-5597. You can reach us on the web. It's the GF Golf Fox Victor Fox.org, the GFVF.org. And if you go to the contact us page on that website, there's a link to make donations there.
Well, we'll be sure to put that link in the description as well.
I will put that in the description. Other than that, Rod, I can't thank you enough for your time. I know it's valuable. First off, it's always good to see you. And
yeah, definitely. We tried to catch you the last one of the times that I was out in Vegas.
Yeah, and now you got to come up to DC if you ever make it up to DC, and then
it's like dealing with Houston traffic.
We'll just have to walk it a little bit. Well, that's all it is.
Yeah, but there's a lot of walking if you don't mind, and seeing some of the sites you can walk. But yeah,
we got to get you guys to come out to San Antonio, get out on one of these group rides, man. Let's get you out on a recumbent or a hand cycle or something, so you can experience something different.
I'd be down. I'd be down to do that.
Yeah,
would.
I think that'd be cool.
Yes,
I always enjoy trips to San Antonio, anyways.
Yep, come on, let's do it.
Well, like I said, man, thank you very much for your time. I do want to have you back on because we have a ton more stories to share.
Absolutely.
And there's never enough time on the show to get everybody's stories. But thank you so much for coming on, man. I can't thank you enough for what you're doing. Keep on being the person you are, because you bring a lot of life and you bring a lot of happiness to a lot of people, man. And I don't think you ever realize that.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate the kind words. Thank you guys for your service. I know I'm a service member as well, but I always like to thank my fellow brothers and sisters for their service as well.
You are worth it too.
Yep. Appreciate the opportunity to come up here and talk.
And thank you
all
for
of it
your
is healing, especially when we're talking about old stuff. It's all healing.
Yes,
whether
sir.
it's for us or somebody in a similar situation, it's all healing.
And that's why we're here.
Yep.
So, hey, brother, thank you so much. For anybody else who hasn't known, you can always follow us on Facebook and Instagram and X. On Instagram and X, it's Outranked Pod, Outranked Pod. On Facebook, it's the Outranked Podcast. You can find me on Facebook as well, Rafael, Rhodes, Steve as well. And if you want to come on the show, reach out to us, send us a message, share your story, and we would love to keep having people on and just sharing what everybody's story is so we can heal all together. Other than that, Steve, I got nothing else. What do you got, buddy? You got anything?
I just want a huge shout out. Thank you for coming on. You know, a lot of times people find it hard to talk, so appreciate you sharing your story, right? Because you never know who's going to help, right? Even helping one person is helping, and so definitely appreciate that. Keep doing God's work, right? And
Absolutely.
look forward to having you on again and hear some more of them stories.
Yes, sir. I look forward to it. Also, if I come across cool people with stories all the time, so I'll be sending them your way.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
Please do. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple, and on YouTube. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Like, subscribe, and follow. All right.